Welcome back to the cottage. Today I'm going to be talking about what it means to be tidy and give you one little secret that can help you be more tidy even if that doesn't come naturally to you. If you are new here, hi, my name is Angela and my husband Craig and I designed and built this simple custom cottage 2 years ago, and we are slowly establishing roots here with our 5 children. In this space, I share about all things minimalism, simple home, and simple living tips. And if you're watching this video, that probably means that those topics are of interest to you as well, so I'm happy that you're here joining me. So today I want to talk about the word tidy. When I think about the word tidy or what it means to have a tidy space, I generally think about a very controlled environment without a lot of clutter. Things are neatly organized and in their own place. Just a really peaceful and inviting environment without a lot of chaos. And I can imagine that a lot of people would see this as a very positive thing, something maybe they even want to strive towards. And some people may even feel a tinge bit of jealousy when they think of someone being tidy and they imagine that they could never be quite to that level. And usually when jealousy is involved or feelings of inadequacy are involved, a person might jump from one extreme to the other and think of themselves, if they're not able to be tidy, that probably means that they, instead of a tidy, clean person, they are a messy and unorganized person. And in reality, there is quite a spectrum from tidy to messy, and people can fall anywhere in the middle. And there's nothing inherently good or bad about being tidy or being a little bit more on the messy end of the spectrum, and it really is only an issue if it begins to affect your life. Now, I do believe that some people definitely are more naturally inclined towards being tidy. I would consider myself part of this group of people. For as far back as I can remember growing up, I liked to have my bed made. I had a spot for everything that I owned, and I never had to be reminded or threatened to clean my room. And in contrast, my 2 sisters, who we had the same parents, lived in the same house, and had the exact same upbringing, they needed a bit more encouragement to keep their things organized and tidy. There's a website called Clutter, and the author of this website, Cass, has identified 4 different personality types when it comes to the way that they organize their things. And some people crave more of a simple approach, they crave that clear space, and others prefer to have their items on display and they have that more organic type of approach to things. And I personally identify as a cricket, which falls right in line with my natural tendencies towards being tidy. A cricket is more of a perfectionist, someone who likes things to be very ordered, very neat, and really does crave that visual simplicity. And I was able to keep control and maintain these organized and tidy spaces for most of my life through my growing up years, my college years, and even as a young married wife. But then God blessed Craig and I with 3 amazing little humans, and we found ourselves bringing in a lot of new toys and gear and gadgets, clothing and books, all to help us, we thought, parent these children better. And life with these 3 little boys was very busy and, I will admit, pretty overwhelming. And I found myself getting more and more frustrated that I wasn't able to be as productive as I wanted to be. I was short-tempered and anxious quite often, and during this time period, I was quite the opposite of tidy. Now, I've shared my reason for turning towards minimalism here on this channel before, and I will link that video, but things really started to come to a head for me in 2015 when we were in the process of adopting our daughter. And as part of the way to fund our adoption expenses, Craig and I made the decision to sell our house. If you have ever moved even once in your life, you will remember what an eye-opening adventure that is. We found ourselves emptying out the attic and the basement and getting to the very back of those jam-packed cabinets that we hadn't looked in for years, and there was just so much stuff. We found ourselves amidst mountains of things that we had accumulated throughout the years. And in that moment, it clicked for me that the sheer amount of things and stuff that we've been surrounding ourselves with through all these years was far more than my personality was able to handle, and that yes, even though raising a young family was stressful, the extra baggage was adding turmoil to an already stressful situation. And so we made a conscious decision at that point to prioritize our family and our family's needs, and to intentionally look through the rest of our belongings and decide which things that we wanted to keep and which things that we could let go of. And that to me is the meat of this video, the one thing that I want you to remember, if nothing else, and that is the difference between someone who is tidy and someone who is not. The tidy person finds joy in prioritizing their present reality. And that's really a fancy way of saying that someone who is able to organize and keep their lives tidy really has come to the realization, made the conscious decision that they can only handle so much. They put a cap limit on how much inventory they allow into their lives. And to me, inventory isn't just the physical belongings, but also the commitments that you take on. It's anything that you need to manage. So for me at that time, I realized that I wanted to prioritize my family, and everything else that got in the way of that had to go. Looking at your life this way, that the present reality is the most important, will help you realize that you can't hold on to everything from your past, and you can't keep everything just because you might use it in the future. This mindset will allow you to easily let go of things or engagements that aren't in line. So that box of clothes that you have shoved in the back of your closet, hoping to one day fit into, or that tote of hobby supplies that you have set aside for once your kids are grown and out of the house and you have more free time. Guess what? Those are not in line with your present reality. All of this should be really good news for those of you who don't feel like you were born with that clean gene. If you are able to get your inventory down to a manageable level, I'm convinced that you will see success at being tidy. If you stand back and look at this from a broad perspective, it's really pretty obvious that the more a person needs to manage, the more difficult it will be for them to keep control of everything, their belongings and their life. I love using the example of a closet. If you have a closet that is completely stuffed full of clothing and you need to put back a shirt, and it's a struggle to get through and separate the hangers so that you can put your shirt back in there, it's too difficult, and it's a kind of a barrier between you and your ability to be tidy. And so what ends up happening is it's easier to just set that shirt on the side of the bed or even on the floor, and that cycle of messiness kind of continues. In contrast, if you have a closet that has a lot of free space in between the different hangers, then you can easily put that shirt back away and it really becomes no big deal. Now you might be wondering, what is that perfect level of inventory, perfect level of belongings? And truthfully, it is a question that only you can answer, and it might take you some trial and error to be able to get there. I know that everyone has a different comfort level with how they have their belongings. Some of you watching today's video would feel uncomfortable living in my home that is very simplistic and very minimal. And like we talked about earlier with the clutter bug styles, some people prefer to have a bit more of their belongings out and on display, while others prefer a more stark and simple approach. But I do have 3 easy rules of thumb that can help guide you. Number 1, you should be able to know where everything is in your home. Number 2, you should be able to easily access those things. And number 3, you should be able to easily put them away. And if you can't do all 3 of those things, then you probably still have too much. I know when we started the minimizing process, we would start decluttering in one room and then move to the second room, find ourselves back in the first room getting rid of a little bit more because we still hadn't gotten down to that perfect level, and it really is sort of a peeling back of layers. And I'll be honest, if you're just starting out on this journey, you can expect the decluttering process to take quite a while, and it can get quite intense. I would suggest that you start with some easier categories such as clothing, beauty supplies, or kitchen items. These areas are easier for people to let go of typically, and you'll find more success this way. I also encourage you, if you're just starting out, to find one drawer or one cabinet and make a commitment to bring it down to a very tidy, very basic level, a level that you think is manageable for you and is comfortable for you. And take everything out of the drawer, get just the items that you want in there, and then I want you to, over the next couple of weeks, every time that you open that drawer or that cabinet, to really think about the feelings that you have, the emotions that you have seeing that tidy space, and think to yourself, do I feel confident knowing that I'm able to keep this space tidy? Do I feel peace that I know where everything is within this drawer or this cabinet? And those emotions are what are going to help fuel you and build you up to have more positive successes throughout the rest of your home. Okay, so in conclusion, in my experience, the ability for someone to keep a space tidy has less to do with your natural tendencies and personality and a lot more to do with your mindset and your recognition that you can only handle so much, and also your amount of inventory. So again, someone who is naturally tidy can become overwhelmed and messy if they are confronted with too much, as I was when we were raising our very young boys. And I hope that it's encouraging for you to know that just by slowly going through your belongings and getting your inventory down to a manageable level, and also prioritizing your present reality, that really anyone can become a more tidy person, even if you're not naturally inclined to be tidy. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope that you'll stop by the cottage again really soon.